Welcome back to the Missoula podcast. Excited you are here joining me. Stephen Russet in studio with my man Nick. Brandon is out on some vacation. But yeah, we're in January, which is the dark days of Missoula. So I am thinking about you out there. Try to get out of Missoula, get some sunlight in, get up on the mountain, whatever you have to do. I got out skiing with my wife this week. I don't know if you guys are in the same boat as me, but being in my mid 30s, a day on the mountain is not as easy as it once was. My legs are tired. But what we did afterwards to ease the pain is we came back to Missoula and we got some Big Dipper ice cream. It was phenomenal. And I am excited for our guest today. I didn't know who was the founder and owner of Big Dipper. And just with the Missoula podcast, we found him. And Charlie Beaton joins us today on the show. He's phenomenal. And it's really cool. What I got from his story was just that you get an idea and massive action can turn something into basically a Missoula staple. Everybody knows about Big Dipper. Everybody goes to Big Dipper. And his journey is so cool in making it an iconic brand in Missoula. When you think about Missoula, you think about the Grizz, you think about the mountains, and I think a lot of you think about Big Dipper ice cream. So really excited for you guys to listen to Charlie Beaton and go get some ice cream.
Charlie, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Surprisingly, it's vanilla.
Really?
Yeah, I do love vanilla ice cream. Really good. We use like pure vanilla. It's really great vanilla. And I was always told, like, if you really want to know how good a place, ice cream place's ice cream is, taste their vanilla, because you can tell if they're using like fake vanilla or, maybe not as much butter fat.
Yeah.
So it's always like that's the barometer for ice cream. And
It's
it
like
goes
a
with
black cup
everything.
of coffee.
Yeah.
And I drink, exactly. I drink my coffee black too. So,
So how often do you have ice cream that is not Big Dipper ice cream?
oh, not when I travel out of town, I always try other ice creams. Yeah.
Handles? I'm assuming you've had Handles. What do you think?
Yeah, Handles is good.
It's good?
Yeah, it's not as good as Big Dipper, but it's
Of
really
course,
good.
no. Big Dipper.
Yeah.
Big Dipper's the best. What's your number one selling flavor?
Well, outside of vanilla, because vanilla goes with all these other things,
Okay.
like sundaes and stuff. Huckleberries are no
Sure.
good.
Huckleberry's got to be big here.
Just such a Missoula, Montana thing.
So good.
That's
And
one of
the-
my earliest memories of being in Missoula was being a high school kid and getting a huckleberry ice cream.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what is this? This is like the coolest flavor
Yeah.
in ice cream.
Yeah, it's funny. We all know what it is, but people outside
Yeah.
of Montana have no idea.
And I love on the retail side the branding of Huckleberry now with Monty.
Right.
is-
Yeah. Yeah. We partnered with University of Montana for some licensed
It's so great.
Huckleberry ice cream.
Charlie, take me back to the beginning. Were you one of those kids that ate ice cream all the time, or were you one of those kids that their mom or dad wouldn't let them have ice cream, so you were like really drawn to it?
No, we did ice cream. We had ice cream quite a bit. My mom was a food person. My mom was many years ago, she had a television show in the 50s. I'm the baby in the family, so she's no longer alive, but she had a cooking television show. And before that, she was a dietitian in a hospital. And she said one of her jobs was to make ice cream in a
Whoa.
hospital in California, in Orange, California. So I always knew about like ice cream a little bit, and we loved ice cream. We do the crank ice cream.
Yeah.
And then when I got into college, a whole bunch of my friends were working at Goldsmiths, and I got a job at Goldsmiths, which was at the time was down at the river where there's a bike shop there now, but it was an old building
Mhm.
there. So I became an ice cream maker there. And that's how I learned about ice cream and got into it.
What did you love the job?
Yeah, it was the
When you-
greatest job ever because I'd worked at McDonald's in high school, and you can't even, they say, if you can lean, you can clean. Like you can't stop for 2 seconds. But this was a job I walked into. My friend was making ice cream and, had the boom box in the back with playing our kind of music. And I was like, we can listen to anything we want. We can wear whatever we want to work. We don't have a uniform. I was like, okay, this is for me. And it was a really fun job. So several years later, I graduated from college. I got a job in insurance for a couple of years, and I knew early on, like, this probably is not my calling. And I was thinking, what can I do? I have a degree in business, and I felt like there was room for more ice cream. And in Missoula, particularly the wholesale side of it. And so a buddy of mine, Tim O'Leary, who grew up with in Helena, he and his wife, Susie, came back to Missoula to start a brewery. And he's like, well, I'm going to open a brewery. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking about opening an ice cream place. And originally it was wholesale. So I was just going to make ice cream, sell it to restaurants and grocery stores, which is what I did. And so Tim and I found that spot on Myrtle Street where
Oh,
the Kettle House started. And so that's where I started. So I was there for the first year making ice cream
you were
there.
making ice cream in the Myrtle
Yes.
House
Yes.
Brewery
Yep.
in
the
the
back
back.
of there.
Oh,
Yeah.
how cool.
Yeah. So I put in a big walk-in freezer and bought a used ice cream machine. And, I think I started that business for, I don't know, maybe like at the most, maybe like $17,000
Wow.
at the most. And that was 1995.
Crazy.
So
When did the location there on Higgins come available
Sure.
and you moved into that?
the next year, I just gotten married. And a buddy of mine, Dale Bickle, who's the CAO of City of Missoula right now, he was my accountant and one of my best friends. And he was like, we should start a store. So it just by luck, that spot where I'm at now on Higgins and Fifth, opened up, and we got in there, and Dale was our partner for a few years, but then we bought him out, and his career kind of took a different trajectory with the county and the city. But my wife and I, Barbie, we started running that store out of Higgins. Eventually, we bought that building, and eventually the parking lot next
Do you
door.
recall what was in that building before Big Dipper?
Oh, that
Do you
building.
remember?
Okay, these are the things I know it was. I know it was originally a gas station.
Okay.
And then in the 70s, it was a yogurt place. I know there was a hamburger place there at one point. Then there was a Greek restaurant or shop there. And then when I was in college, it was called Piccolo Pizza. It was a sandwich shop.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, and then after that, I think it was empty for a while. Then it was Creative Catering, and the woman that owned that, she had moved her business downtown. So she's like, "You guys should move your ice cream shop here." So
Did you know that location was going to be so iconic and good?
no, because I had people telling me, "Well, it's kind of far back from the street. People can't really see it." And I remember a lady saying, "Well, this has been a lot of things. Hope good luck. I hope it works for you."
Jeez.
So,
I can't figure out, here we are, early January. You drive down Higgins Street at 8:00 at night, and there's 45 people freezing on the sidewalk in line for ice cream. How'd you make that happen? What's the secret to your guys' success?
I think it's great ice cream. It's a high butter fat, really. I think the flavors are unique. We've worked with a lot of different local businesses to partner up on flavors. So that's one side of it. And I think the experience is probably the bigger part of it. Like the idea of standing in line for ice cream, and meeting your friends there.
Well, I can tell you, Charlie, I have family from out of state, and when they come home, and it's always, hey, let's go get ice cream. Let's go to Big Dipper, and we'll say, hey, which location? And they say downtown. It's the nostalgia, the experience.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, a lot of things you're like that. You're selling the experience.
How did you come up with the experience of it?
Mhm.
Was this something that came to you? Did you copy other people?
No,
tell us
I
about that
think it
process.
was, I think a lot of it was reading books on marketing and branding and learning about how important your brand was. So then it started making me think about, okay, well, what's our logo going to look like? What's the fonts? What are the colors? And kind of working from that end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with the name Big Dipper?
Well, I was in a band years ago that played a bar in Spokane called the Big Dipper. It's still there, downtown. And when I started, I went through the list of names, Garden City Ice Cream Works, Bitterroot Ice Cream, Zootown Ice Cream, all the usual. And I was like, it's just everyone's using those. And then I remembered playing in this bar, and it's like, Big Dipper, that sounds like ice cream. That's kind of cool. So anyway, that's how I came up with it.
And over the years, you guys have multiple locations and franchises around the state. As you've scaled Big Dipper ice cream, what are some of the challenges that you face that your business degree didn't teach you, that you had to overcome and pivot and learn?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest ones are um, just dealing with employees, managing employees. When I started, I had just hired all my friends, you know, and now, it's my friends' kids that might be working for me.
Uh,
So that the employee aspect of it, not being inexperienced in management would
yeah.
be.
Where do you spend most of your time today?
I
Are you
do personally, I do most of my time I work on marketing
okay?
and the things I really enjoy. I've got amazing managers. I basically Brian Hickey's the president of the company. He's been with me for 23 years
Wow.
and 23, I think. And he kind of runs the operations. I work with him pretty closely, but he runs operations. And then Kelsey McIntosh runs all the retail. She's our general manager, and so she deals with all the employees. And then Amy Mans is the production manager. She takes care of all the manufacturing and the delivery and all that kind of stuff. So I have these three amazing managers that kind of hold it all together, and then I'm able to just like work with them. And now I've been. It'll be let's see, 29 years in January. So
Wow.
um, so I don't do as much of the day to day as I
Yeah.
used to, but I do the things that I really enjoy doing. It's just like marketing, branding, and coming up with merch and that
Good for
kind of
you.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like on a Friday night, middle of summer, the line is a mile long and it's just that way all night. Outside of sales for you and your team and business, how do you define a successful night? Like, hey, that was great.
Oh, you know, a successful night is not hearing back any feedback about complaints or, and I also,
Do
I,
people complain about
very,
with
not
ice
very
cream? Yeah.
much. So it kind of hurts when you do hear a
Yeah.
complaint. It's like, come on. It's just ice cream. Right. But,
Mhm.
but, we're not perfect and things will happen from time to time. And we always try to make it right. But, I had both my daughters work for us, through high school. They're both one's in college and one's out of college now. But, I get a lot of feedback from them and, success would be hearing them come back from work saying, "Oh, it was so much fun tonight." And it's like it doesn't feel like a job because I'm here. I'm hanging out with my friends. We made great tips and customers are really cool. And
Mm.
so getting that feedback, like hearing like, "Oh yeah, I brought my relatives in from wherever and they had this great time."
How has the industry or your business model changed in the last 29 years? Or are you still doing a lot of the same?
It hasn't really changed that much. It's just everything has gotten way more expensive. Labor is a little more challenging. We used to never have high school kids work for us. It was all it was college kids and people out of college. Um, and it kind of just shifted the last several years, a little bit before the pandemic, to more high school kids. And it's fine. We've adapted to that, but that's a big change.
Yeah.
It seems like every time I go down there with my wife or my daughter, that the employees, like you said, are
Mhm.
actually having fun.
Yeah.
Like they're smiling, they're joking. Has there anything specifically that you've done to create that culture, or is it ice cream is fun and
Yeah.
people are happy?
Well, it is fun and it's a nice job. People that come get ice cream are generally really happy. So that's really nice. If you worked somewhere where maybe you're, dealing with more grouchy customers, that would be a little different. But ice
Sure.
cream's such it's a fun food. So that's helpful. And we give them the leeway to, listen to the music they want to listen to and kind of dress how they want to dress. And again, I have a great managers that have hired them and trained them properly. And we do a lot of things for our employees. We'll have bowling night or,
Mm.
we just had a really fun Christmas party. And so we try to do things to keep them engaged and enjoying their job.
How many employees over the multiple locations that you have?
Yeah. So in Missoula, at the height of it, we have a little over 70 employees. It's a lot because a lot of it's, part-time kids and the younger kids can only work so many hours and
Yeah.
they're taking trips. So it's a
It's a lot
handful.
to manage.
Is
Yeah.
it hard to run a business knowing your employees, your team that you've invested in and trained are just temporary summer jobs around school schedule that they're not looking to build a career with Big
Yeah,
Dipper?
no, it's great because I love watching these kids get their very first job. Usually we start them making waffle cones, and I love seeing how they've grown as people
Mm.
and seeing these shy kids come in and they end up, going to college, and maybe sometimes they'll come back at the summer. And it's also because it's a seasonal business. It really works great for students. I have the summer, they want to work a whole bunch, make some money, or make money to go back to school or for school. And then in the school year, they're busy, busy studying. So it really works out.
How many days a week do you eat ice cream?
Oh, I don't eat ice cream that many days of the week right now. I would say maybe once a week.
Wow.
Maybe twice a week. I taste it. I don't sit down and eat ice cream as much, but my wife and I had ice cream last night watching TV. So
yeah,
we're going to get back into your story a little bit more, but before we do, we better get our rapid 5. That's also now 7 questions.
7 questions. Rapid 7 questions.
We got to hit you with these.
Okay.
And, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. All right. Charlie, are you from Missoula? I should have started there.
I grew up in Helena.
Okay. What is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Earliest memory is visiting some friends. My sister and I took the bus to Missoula to visit some friends that had moved to Missoula. And it's like, oh, this is the coolest town. We walked to the mall. We're in 5th or 6th grade. So that's my earliest memory.
Isn't that a crazy concept? Like getting on a bus and traveling to another town today's day and age?
Mostly like your parents just drive you over there. But I had older parents. They're just like, you guys just take the bus. I don't know if that was a normal thing or not, but that's what we did.
Awesome.
But that's the first time I'd ever been to Missoula.
Charlie, if you're going to get a cup of coffee in Missoula, where's your go-to?
Probably either if I'm downtown, I'd go to Black Coffee, but I have Drum Coffee is just down the street from me. And a good friend of mine, John Wicks, is the owner of Drum Coffee. So we usually walk down the street from our house.
Spread the wealth to everybody.
In my neighborhood, a Big Dipper, we run over to Clyde or to Le Petit because they're in the neighborhood
right
too.
there.
And I'm friends with everybody that owns a coffee shop in this town. So I'm not going to pick a favorite, but
nothing better than coffee.
I love coffee so much. So
Recently, we had Nick from MAD Chicken on the podcast. I mean, we're pretty much just taking over that whole 4th Myrtle.
I love it.
Higgins.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a hip strip podcast.
It really is. Nothing more Missoulian than the hip strip.
Yeah.
If you and Barbie are going to go out to dinner on a Friday night, what's your go-to favorite place in town?
Boxcar Bistro.
Solid.
Yeah.
It's always good. What zip code do you live in?
59801.
591. I'm trying to start like turf wars in Missoula.
Yeah.
So if 59801 was in a tug of war match with 59803, who would win?
Oh, is 803 like out
South
near?
Hills?
Oh, South Hills.
He doesn't even know. See, nobody cares about 59803.
No, I think 801 would probably win. I think there's probably some younger, probably more college kids, probably tougher people in my neighborhood's pretty tough neighborhood.
Based on location of Big Dipper, right across the street from you, you see it almost every day. Keep Missoula weird. What's the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
The weirdest thing. Oh, there's so many things about Missoula that's weird.
Yeah.
Is it? I think the weirdest thing in a good way is probably just how people are free to be as freaky as they want. Like people walking over the bridge, with every color of hair, whatever. And you don't, it's so Missoula you don't even notice it. Like my kids I'd be like, whoa, that person over there, look, like got green hair or something. They're like, so I love that. Like Missoula can be so
weird, is
odd.
So normalized.
Yeah. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. I grew up in Dillon, so coming to Missoula for the first time was like, where am I?
Yeah.
And now I don't even notice it.
Yeah, and it's so
beautiful.
different than it's not. I mean, Great Falls isn't like that. Helena's not like that. But.
In fact, just this last weekend, we were driving across Higgins Street Bridge, and I said, wow, check out that outfit. And my daughter goes,
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
I think that's good. I think entering the world and leaving Missoula, if you leave just not being like shocked by anything, that's probably the way to be.
Yep.
What do you love the most about Missoula?
Oh, I probably just the trail system. I run, mountain bike, hike, and just right from my house, I can be up on Sentinel or, I think the trails are incredible. Every direction. So
obviously, successful business guy and have probably learned a lot in your life. Is there any book or that has impacted you the most, or what's your favorite book, or take the question wherever you want to take it?
Oh, I was impacted by a book called Selling the Invisible many years ago that my friend gave me, and that really struck a nerve with me about branding and how to really think about how my business should look to people.
Mm.
So it's just a short book by, I think its last name is Beckwith. But anyway, that's a book I've always hung on to that really inspired me.
Let me dive a little deeper into that. You've said a couple of times how much you love marketing and branding. When did that start to develop that passion for you? Was that an early age? Was it when you got
Uh,
into business?
no, that was in college. That would have been having a professor. Um, I'm gonna forget the name, so I won't try real quick. But I had a marketing class that, one thing we learned about was guerrilla marketing. And that was like, what's guerrilla marketing? Oh, it's like doing things that aren't normal. And when I started Big Dipper, I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't have money to advertise. So, and I come from a world of like, I've been in bands and stuff. So it's like, oh, I'll make stickers, we'll make t-shirts, we'll run it like a band, and
Mhm.
so that's kind of guerrilla marketing. So I learned about like how you can step outside of the traditional marketing box to do different things.
Would you say when you're looking at marketing and your ROI, I mean, is your best marketing the still today stickers and
For
t-shirts? And
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
'cause I
Yeah.
mean, I don't really see your marketing
Yeah.
because the brand's established. I
We
mean,
don't,
you're on
we,
social media
yeah.
but
We don't advertise. We'll do some things. We've done some things like we're on the screen of the Roxy for movie theaters, or for movies. I'll do some stuff with the Downtown Association, but not really traditional advertising. But we sponsor a lot of events. We support all kinds of organizations all over Missoula, and it just seems to come back to us,
Mm.
or working with schools and helping the schools and things like that.
your food truck,
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
I
just gonna
Oh
guess
bring
yeah,
that up.
it is.
yeah.
I
How
see it
many
everywhere.
do you guys have?
We have just
Because it
one.
feels like you have multiple because it is
No,
everywhere all the time.
yeah, and we just had a good friend of mine, Josh Quick, who's an artist. He's the one that just did all the design
Yeah, it's
for it.
been
So complete, yeah,
rebranded. It's
yeah,
not
it's
the
great.
yellow cone boy anymore.
Right. It's not Yellow Cone Boy anymore. We just went wild with this new design just for the fun of it. And he kept every time I saw Josh, he's like, "Oh, you got to let me design your truck. I have this idea." I was like, finally, I was like, you know what? Just go for it. I didn't tell him what to do. Just go nuts. And I think if you looked at it closely, there's a lot of little things, and there's people that you might recognize, and there's things from Missoula. And if he's given me the tour, like, oh, and this is from a Radiohead album, and this is
That's
from,
awesome.
like, he has all these weird things on it. He's like, there's one lady on, like, this is Oprah, because I really love Oprah, and so she's
So
on it.
random.
Like it is, yeah. So okay, that goes back to what's the weirdest thing about Missoula? That's our ice cream truck.
Your ice cream truck is yeah. And people can hire you guys and have
Yeah.
the truck at events.
Yeah,
Like
so we do a lot of events. You can go to the website and there's a
just fill
link
out
for
a
it, but
form.
yeah, we don't do as many smaller ones. We try to do the bigger ones, but we do weddings. We do a lot of corporate things, and we do, out to lunch downtown
Yeah.
tonight.
No, you guys are everywhere. And I think
Yeah.
I'm back
Yeah.
to your marketing. Just that
Yeah.
truck is
Yeah, and we've been doing it too for like some philanthropy things too. Like I'll send it to like a nursing home, and we just did one with Friends of the Children this fall, where it's just like we'll send it over there, call them up, say, hey, we're bringing ice cream trucks gonna show up. Send out your kids, and
Oh, wow.
like
so
it's just
awesome.
really fun. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
So
That's so great.
yeah.
I remember as a kid, the like ice cream truck with the music going through the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And that really seems to be a thing of
Yeah.
the past. On occasion, there'll be,
Yeah.
a van or
Yeah.
something come through. Did you guys ever take that model where you're just trying to cater through the city on a
Yeah,
Saturday afternoon?
we try. Well, there's a couple problems with it. The city, you can't really park just anywhere, so you couldn't really just show up at Playfair Park because you have to have a special permit for
Okay.
that. Or if you're downtown, you have to pay to park. So there were some issues there. And the other problem is kids come running up like ice cream. They got 50 cents. And it's like,
Mm.
oh, well, that's going to be $4.50.
Yeah.
Not
It's
really the clientele
it's
you're going
expensive.
for.
Yeah, it's just making homemade ice cream is super expensive is the bottom line. So it's not as affordable for the kids that will run up to do it. But we do set up at, Bonner Park when they do the band concerts in the summer, and we go to different places like
And you're
that.
at Grizz Games, Adams Center.
Yeah, we're at all the Adams Center games. We have a kiosk there, and then we have a new kiosk in Grizzly Stadium.
Sweet.
So since this year, so
Well,
that's
where's
been
that
great.
at? I haven't even seen that yet.
It's
at
when
the
you
games.
come up the big concrete steps from the west side of the stadium. It's to the right of the president's box.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
I love Big Dipper ice cream. I equally get frustrated with Big Dipper ice cream because it's my kids, it's their go-to. We were just at a Grizz basketball game, and halftime my daughter's going and getting her orange, and my daughter gets chocolate. I mean, Big Dipper is, the number of times we leave our house on a Friday night at 9:00 and just run down to the Paxton location. Just something about it. The experience is incredible. Like, we could run in Yolks and bite off, retail, but going into the ice cream store is just, it's special. And you've built something amazing.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
A couple more questions that I have. It seems like you've been obviously you're a huge staple in Missoula, and you've been good to Missoula. What's been your favorite thing about running a business in this town that's really worked, that you've really enjoyed over the years?
Probably getting to know other business owners. I got involved with the Downtown Association. I've been on the BID board, the Business Improvement District board for downtown for a super long time. So I've really enjoyed just meeting and making a lot of friends through the business, like other business owners, and just getting involved with the community, and specifically downtown has been great. And now we're moving, we have a store out in Paxton now. So getting a little more involved with Midtown now too, but just like meeting some great people. Missoula's a really cool town. People are doing there's a lot of cool businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the most fun thing about this show for me, is hearing the stories from entrepreneurs a lot of times and what they've had to do. And they're like, hey, let's just start a business because so many other people have done it. And it seems like a really,
I love the backstories.
close-knit.
Like, Big Dipper's been here for 29 years. Like, there's so many new people that have moved here. Like, it's really cool to hear, where did Big Dipper come from? What is this? Why is it the staple it is? And it's fascinating.
Yeah. Last question I have for you. Has there been any specific mentors that you've had that have really helped your journey, maybe as a man individually, but also as a business owner? Anybody coming to mind? Doesn't even have to be anybody in Missoula, but who's helped you along the way?
Yeah. Probably, I don't have a specific mentor. I feel like when I started, I was just kind of on my own a little bit, but just tons of support, probably mostly from my wife, who's been there from the very beginning. So I'd say my wife.
Good
That's
answer.
awesome.
Yeah. She'll like that.
Well, she's been very, very supportive, and she worked, when we started Big Dipper, we had kids about 3 or 4 years later, and she used to scoop with my daughter Aileen and a baby Bjorn.
Yeah.
So she'd worked the first several months when we had this little baby, and she's not as involved with Big Dipper as she used to be, but she was a big help.
I got 2 questions for you before we wrap up. One, what's next for Big Dipper? Are you guys looking to expand, grow, multiple locations?
Sure. Yeah. There's a group of people that are working on doing a Big Dipper up in Great Falls. So that's probably the likely next thing that's going to happen pretty soon here. And that's kind of, I keep saying that's it. I'm not going to do any more, but you never know. And it would maybe depend if my kids decide to get maybe involved with it too.
Are your kids involved in the business at all currently?
One daughter just moved to San Diego. She's down there. My other daughter's a junior over at Gonzaga, and she's a business major, and she was our assistant manager last summer. That's my daughter, Sophie. So I could see her maybe playing a role in it after college. So
awesome.
Let's see.
Last question for you, Charlie. Looking back the last 29 years, if you could do it all over again, would you?
Yes, for sure. Because I've been blessed to have a job that's not the 9-to-5 office job. It's different every single day. It doesn't, some things maybe would get old, but for the most part, it's like I said earlier, like meeting great people, but the job's always changing. One of the things I do, I'm always putting out fires. There's a different problem, and it's totally fine. I'm decent at it, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad that you decided to go start an ice cream shop. Missoula's glad, and we appreciated hearing some of your story today.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Awesome. Yeah, have a good winter.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Charlie.
Thanks for having me.